Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into Louis Shiner's incredibly dense and powerful 1988 novel, Deserted Cities of the Heart. Now, this isn't the setup for some kind of joke. Nope, it's actually the explosive premise of a novel that takes you right into the heart of the chaos of 1980s Mexico, where very personal quests collide, and I mean violently collide, with political revolution. All right, first, let's really set the stage. Imagine a country that's just teetering on the absolute brink of collapse. That's where we're headed. So this book came out in 1988, and Deserted Cities of the Heart basically throws you headfirst into this powder keg of revolution. It's got a sharp critique of shady U.S. intervention in Latin America, and it's all mixed up with ancient Mayan history. You should know, this is a complex and pretty demanding read, but it's perfect for anyone who loves a story with really deep layers to peel back. The whole story is told through three main characters, and you've got to understand, each one is living in a completely separate reality. The thing is, they're all on a collision course. Okay, let's jump into our first world. This one belongs to Carmichael. He's this cynical American journalist, and he's not in Mexico to try and change the world or anything. No. He's on the front lines, chasing a story that could make his career, and he doesn't really care what it costs. And that right there just perfectly sums him up. He is not an idealist. He's a professional, and he's driven by this primal need to get the story. So here he is, navigating this brutal world of guerrilla fighters and these shadowy American mercenaries, and all he cares about? Getting that interview. Now for our second world, which is all about Thomas. He's this aging idealist, kind of like a relic from the Woodstock generation. And he's trying to build a techno-utopian future in a sustainable commune. It's actually a fascinating counterpoint to all the darker dystopian stuff from the cyberpunk movement, which, by the way, Shiner himself was a key figure in. This quote really shows you a man who's at a serious crossroads, just desperately looking for some kind of meaning. So Thomas, he represents this dream of a better future, one built through technology and reason, but that dream is about to get violently interrupted by the harsh political realities of the present. And finally, we get to Eddie. He's Thomas's brother and a completely burned out rock star. He's just totally rejected the modern world. Instead, he's chosen to live with the Lacandon Maya, seeking spiritual truth through ancient mysticism and, well, some pretty powerful psychedelic journeys. You see, this shows Eddie's total rejection of his whole celebrity past. He's searching for an authentic identity, and he really believes the answers he's looking for aren't in the future. No, they're deep in the past, in becoming what they call a Hutchwinnock, a real person by ancient standards. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do these three totally different lives even intersect? Well, in this story, all roads lead to one very specific place: the ancient Mayan ruins of Nachen. As you can see, their journeys are anything but random. It's like they're all being drawn, almost magnetically, to this single spot. Nachen becomes this crucible, where the past, the present, and the future are all forced into a violent, chaotic, and unforgettable confrontation. Okay, to really get the novel's core ideas, we need to break down 5 crucial quotes. These will get us to the heart of the book's message about a generation in total crisis. And get this, it's spoken by a mercenary of all people. This quote just perfectly captures that disillusioned spirit of the 70s bleeding into the 80s. These grand social movements kind of faded, and people started looking inward, focusing on self-improvement and mysticism, and sometimes that had some very dark and violent consequences. This is such a pivotal moment for Lindsay. She's the character who's really the glue between our 3 guys. It's this powerful feminist awakening where she discovers her own agency, separate from her relationships with men. And it's all happening right in the middle of a war zone. She's the one who has to navigate all these extreme male ideologies to find her own way forward. Now this, right here, this is the crucial point. The shaman, Chanmeax, basically offers up the novel's central thesis. He's rejecting the extremes. He rejects Eddie's retreat into the past and Thomas's blind faith in the future. Instead, he argues you need to bring them together, a synthesis of both. Whew, this quote highlights the absolutely brutal life or death stakes of the climax. I mean, this is the moment where all the idealism, all the personal quests, they just get crushed by the violent, ruthless pragmatism of war. There are no easy choices here, not at all. And this is what brings it all home. The novel is ultimately suggesting this cyclical view of history, where destruction and renewal are just these constant churning forces. And it argues that every single individual has a role to play in that change, whether they want to or not. All right, let's pull all these threads together in our final analysis and see what the big takeaway is. So the core lesson here seems to be that escaping into just one worldview, doesn't matter if it's cynical journalism, utopian futurism, or mystical history, it's a path to failure. Survival, and maybe just maybe progress, demands that you integrate all three perspectives. You just can't run from the present. Look, this book is a monumental achievement. I mean, its ambition and thematic depth are just off the charts. Shiner masterfully weaves everything together. But, and this is a big but, its complex, multi-perspective structure can be a really demanding and sometimes disorienting experience for the reader. So with all of that in mind, what's our final verdict on Deserted Cities of the Heart? We are giving it a very strong 8 out of 10. It's a grade that really recognizes its sheer intellectual power and that unforgettable convergence of ideas, even if it's definitely not the easiest or most straightforward book you're going to pick up this year. So if this breakdown has you intrigued and you feel like you're ready to explore some similar territory, we've got 2 other books you should absolutely add to your reading list. Both Malcolm Lowry's Under the Volcano and Graham Greene's The Comedians dive into really similar themes of personal and political collapse in Latin America. They are intense, character-driven classics, and they make for perfect follow-ups. And that's all for this breakdown. Hey, don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any more deep dives from The Explainer. We'll see you next time.